Before we dive in, let me issue a public service announcement to every young, dreamy-eyed girl who thinks the AV industry is just an alternative to a boring office cubicle. Don't believe the hype. Yes, I read the comment section. And yes, one of our dear viewers at Matt Dawson 5317 decided to step in like the AV industry's personal financial advisor. He wrote, and I quote, Kiho Kanematsu, 35, $10,000 a month. Ririko Kinoshita, 40, still thriving. Escort services, that's $1,000 an hour. Easy money, no strings attached, better than a useless degree. Sounds glamorous, doesn't it? Like a LinkedIn post for the world's most misunderstood profession. But girls, before you start Googling how to join S1 auditions, slow down. Because there's a canyon-sized difference between AV and what Matt here is talking about, escort work. One is a legally contracted performance industry, the other, flat-out prostitution, and in most cases illegal. Big, big difference. Pause for dramatic eyebrow raise. So today, let's debunk the myths, one by one. Because believing in the fantasy version of AV is like believing you'll become rich just by buying one Bitcoin in 2025. Possible, but statistically, you're the exception, not the rule. Here's the stern advice, wrapped in sarcasm, for retention. First, let's address the golden contract fantasy. Yes, Kiho Kanematsu, 35, allegedly landed a $10,000 monthly deal with S1. Ririko Kinoshita, 40, got a Madonna contract. Sounds amazing. But girls, please stop assuming this is the average career path. That's like saying every high school basketball player will become LeBron James because you saw him on ESPN. The truth? Most AV contracts are short-lived, brutal, and competitive. For every Kiho, there are thousands of nameless actresses who don't even make rent. And don't forget, Japan fetishizes youth to the point that the word mature in AV means she turned 28. Yes, congratulations, you're already MILF material before your 30th birthday cake is even cut. Now here's where Matt Dawson 5317's comment slips into dangerous territory. Escort services. He brags some actresses make $1,000 per hour in Australia, but let me set this straight. Escort AV. An AV actress signs a contract. It's legal, like a film. Escorting, on the other hand, is prostitution, illegal, risky, and in the worst cases, a fast track to human trafficking. You don't want to be the special package that ends up in Macau, wondering how a $20K dream became a nightmare. So my stern advice, young girls, do not believe this myth. You're not getting a guaranteed $10K deal. You're not retiring after 3 films, and you're definitely not getting a tax-free $1,000 per hour for illegal escort gigs without risk. AV may be legal performance, escorting is not. Don't confuse the two. Think of it this way, a short AV stint might indeed be financially better than drowning in student debt for a useless degree, but chasing the fantasy of easy escort millions, that's not an alternative career. That's a trap. And traps, once you're caught in them, rarely let you go. All right, let's cut deeper into this fantasy. Our viewer at Matt Dawson 5317 tells us some AV stars like Reina Fukushima, who is 45, make $1,000 per hour more from escort services. Sounds nice, right? $1,000 an hour. That's almost as much as a mid-level lawyer charges, without the bar exam, without the student debt, and apparently without pants. But here's the catch. Escort services are not AV. In Japan, AV is a legal performance. You sign a contract, you shoot a movie, you pay taxes, you get a paycheck. Escorting, that's straight-up prostitution. Illegal in Japan, illegal in Australia, illegal in most countries. And when something's illegal, the price you pay isn't just moral, it's literal. We're talking fines, jail time, deportation, and in the darkest cases, exploitation. Let's get real. You think escorting means 5-star hotels, private jets, and champagne? In reality, it often means cheap motels, shady clients, and risks you can't even imagine. And the scary part? Once you're in, it's hard to get out. Agencies that manage escorts aren't exactly HR departments with wellness programs. They're more like the mafia with a customer service hotline. And here's my stern advice to young women watching. Do not romanticize prostitution as just another side hustle. It's not Uber with lipstick. It's a black hole. And in the worst case scenario, you're trafficked, shipped off to a country you've never been to, surrounded by men who don't speak your language, your passport gone. That $1,000 an hour suddenly feels like a ransom note, not a paycheck. So let's stop pretending escorting is the smart girl's shortcut to retirement. If that were true, the world's richest people wouldn't be tech CEOs or hedge fund managers, they'd be pimps. Bottom line, don't confuse AV with escorting. One is legal, the other can destroy your life. The illusion of easy money is the bait. The trap is everything that comes after. Now, let's talk about the giant elephant in the AV studio, Japan's national fetish for youth. And when I say youth, I don't mean fresh college graduates. I mean, in AV, you can be labeled mature at the ripe old age of 28. Yes, 28. In the West, that's barely the start of adulthood. In Japan's AV industry, it's practically early retirement. Here's the brutal truth. For every Kiho Kanematsu or Ririko Kinoshita who gets a long-term contract in her mid-30s or 40s, there are hundreds of actresses chewed up and spat out by the time they hit 25. Why? Because Japanese society has turned youth into a fetish, not just a preference. It's an obsession. You could have flawless acting, charisma, and a fan base. But if you cross that invisible line called aging, congratulations, you're now shoved into a niche label like mature, auntie, or the infamous jukujo. And don't be fooled by how exotic those categories sound. In the market, they're second tier. The pay is less, the demand is lower, and the competition is just as cutthroat. It's like going from the Champions League to a local soccer club. Sure, you're still playing, but the stadium seats are half empty. So when someone like Matt Dawson, 5317, says, "Look, mature actresses can thrive too," my reply is simple. Yes, a microscopic fraction of them. That's like saying, don't worry about buying lottery tickets. My neighbor once won $50,000. Great for him. But your odds? You'll be broke, not rich. Here's the kicker. Japan's obsession with youth isn't just about AV, it infects the whole society. Companies hire fresh graduates, not experienced workers. Women past 30 are treated like expired products on a supermarket shelf. So is it any surprise that AV follows the same twisted rulebook? So my stern advice here, don't build your dream career on exceptions. The shelf life of an AV actress is shorter than a carton of yogurt. If you're banking on being the rare mature star, you're playing Russian roulette with 5 bullets loaded. Let's answer the big question that every curious viewer eventually types into Google at 3 a.m. What happens to AV stars after they retire? Spoiler alert, there is no happily ever after. Unless your definition of happy is running a bar in Shinjuku with your old co-stars while customers ask, "Wait, weren't you in that one movie?" Here's the cold truth. The average AV career in Japan lasts about 1 year. That's 5 to 10 movies, tops. Then, poof, gone. And no, they don't all move to luxury penthouses with a Chanel sponsorship. About 2/3 of retired AV actresses end up in nightlife work, hostess bars, cabaret clubs, or soaplands. That's not a glamorous pivot. That's a career downgrade with extra neon lights. Of course, there are the exceptions, the stories fanboys love to brag about online. Akiho Yoshizawa retired after 16 years and 1,000 videos, then wrote a memoir, did a podcast, and even became a special counselor at a clinic. Good for her. But she's the LeBron James of AV. Rare, once in a generation. You're probably not LeBron. Then there's Rikako Inoue, who went from idol singer to AV actress and somehow still got supportive texts from her old bandmates. That's sweet. But let's be real, most families aren't sending you flowers when you show up in AV Weekly. Maria Ozawa? She bailed from AV and became a celebrity in Southeast Asia. That's the global success story. But for every Ozawa, there are 1,000 girls whose retirement plan looks more like now hiring hostess 6 p.m. to midnight, karaoke skills preferred. And let's not ignore the stigma. Try renting an apartment after AV. Landlords practically sprint to the shredder when they see your name. Even Shimiken, one of the most famous male AV stars, was rejected until a real estate agent who was secretly a fan saved him. Imagine your housing plan depending on whether your landlord bookmarked your scene. So here's the sarcastic bottom line. Retiring from AV doesn't mean glamorous new chapter. It usually means hostess work, discrimination, or desperate side hustles. Yes, a few stars reinvent themselves as YouTubers, entrepreneurs, or writers, but they're the minority. The majority, they slide from one kind of exploitation straight into another. So next time someone online says, "Don't worry, you'll be set for life after AV," just remember, retirement usually comes with fewer fans, smaller paychecks, and a lot more neon signage. Let's tackle that oh so popular myth that if AV didn't pay enough, you could just hop overseas and join the escort economy like it's Disneyland. Spoiler, it's not. Here's a reality check from the headlines, and trust me, it's chilling. In 2024, a Tokyo woman drowning in debt was lured into prostitution in Macau for a few days, courtesy of a slick escort agency. Not some glamorous holiday package, just straight-up exploitation. Now, don't be naive. You might think, it's just a side hustle in another country, no big deal. But here's the problem. Escort services are illegal in Japan, and the minute you step into that underground world, especially abroad, you're playing with fire. And not the romantic marshmallow kind. Even here in Japan, the sex industry isn't a shame-free zone. The anti-prostitution prevention law from 1956 bans paid intercourse with unspecified people, but loopholes exist. Soap lands and fashion health shops operate in that legal grey area. Non-coital acts are technically legal, but penetrative sex is still taboo. Here's the kicker. When desperation drives women to go overseas, it's less about chasing vacations and more about evading that stigma. Or worse, human trafficking. Traffickers and Yakuza-linked agencies don't ask nicely if you've signed a waiver. They trap you with debt bondage, control, and threats. Not exactly your dream gig. Meanwhile, domestic loopholes keep things murky. Soap plans pretend to be innocent bathhouses, and if the customer and worker just happen to get acquainted, suddenly intimate acts are redefined as love, not prostitution. It's less clean fantasy, more legalish gymnastics. So here's the stern, sarcastic takeaway. Young women, do not treat overseas escort work as your backup plan. It's not a career. It's a career ender, legal, emotional, and moral. You're not just flirting with a big paycheck. You're flirting with passports getting stamped, denied entry, criminal exposure, deportation, abuse, and even trafficking. Escaping low pay in AV by becoming a globe-trotting escort. That's like thinking you'll dodge a tsunami by buying a surfboard. In short, the moment you step into that world, overseas escorting, you're doing more than breaking the law. You're gambling with your safety, your freedom, and your dignity. And trust me, those chips aren't coming back. Let me know if this tone hits the mark. Ready to roll into Chapter 6, where we can hilariously but firmly contrast easy money fantasies with actual legal and emotional minefields, or pivot to another theme. Let's land this plane with a brutal truth. The whole idea of easy money through AV or escorting is nothing more than the world's most dangerous sales pitch. Yes, at Matt Dawson, 5,317 made it sound so sweet. $10,000 contracts, $20,000 a month escort gigs in Australia, $1,000 an hour sessions like you're a VIP surgeon, but without med school. It sounds fantastic. Almost like those Nigerian prince emails you get in your spam folder. Just wire a little dignity up front, and endless riches are yours. But here's the reality. There is no easy money. There is only money that costs you in other currencies. Safety, reputation, legality, freedom. In Japan, AV is a legal industry. You're an actress under contract, taxed, protected on paper. Escort services? Nope. That's prostitution. Illegal here, illegal abroad, and hazardous everywhere. Do women still go overseas to do it? Absolutely. Because economic desperation is a cruel motivator. Soapland workers squeezed by low wages get recruited to Macau, Singapore, or Australia, thinking they're stepping into glamour. What they actually step into is a cycle of deportations, abusive clients, and sometimes organised crime networks with a no-exit clause. And once you've crossed that border, legally and morally, it sticks to you like permanent ink. Japan's obsession with youth and purity makes reintegration even harder. Try explaining an overseas escort stint to a Japanese employer or landlord. They don't see strong, independent women. They see a permanent scarlet letter. Even some retired AV actresses with actual fame struggle to rent apartments. Imagine what it's like for someone who never had that status in the first place. So here's my stern advice, wrapped in sarcasm one last time. Don't believe in escort fairy tales. Cinderella didn't ride a pumpkin carriage to Macau. Don't confuse exceptions with rules. For every AV star who reinvents herself, hundreds disappear into obscurity or worse. And most importantly, if you think illegal escort work is your shortcut to retirement, congratulations. You've just enrolled in the world's most dangerous Ponzi scheme, where the payoff is trauma, not treasure. The fantasy is easy. The reality is illegal, hazardous, and often irreversible. In short, stay out. The house always wins, and in this game you are the house's disposable chip. So, what have we learned today, class? That AV is legal but brutal, escort services are illegal and hazardous, and the dream of easy money is about as real as a diet donut. Yes, technically donuts exist, but the diet part is a scam. We've debunked the myths, dragged the fantasy through the mud, and hopefully saved at least one young woman from Googling how to become a Japanese AV star abroad tonight. My stern advice is simple. If something sounds too good to be true, it's probably illegal, and comes with handcuffs. Now, if you actually enjoyed this sarcastic sermon, do the Holy Trinity, like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling me how wrong or how right I am. Don't worry, I read them all. Sometimes I even quote them, like our friend at Matt Dawson 5317, whose financial optimism could rival a crypto salesman in 2021. But here's the real twist. None of this advice will probably reach the people who need it most. Because let's face it, Japanese women aren't watching this in English. They're too busy being crushed by Japan's youth fetish, or being told by society they're already mature at 28. So here's my final sarcastic plea. Maybe one day someone will translate this video into Japanese and beam it directly into their phones, right between a cat cafe vlog and a K-drama clip. Until then, I'll just keep shouting into the English-speaking void. Twist ending. Oh yes, no Japanese women are listening to this video, but I don't want to make it in Japanese. I just hope some brave soul makes a Japanese version and finally gives them the advice they desperately need, but would probably ignore anyway. See you in the next one, assuming YouTube doesn't ban me for saying the words Opeland too many times.